Right now, somewhere in your pocket or on the table beside you, your phone is sitting there. You haven't touched it in 11 minutes. That number means something. Your hand already wants to move. You tell yourself it's because you're waiting on a message. But the real answer is far stranger, and it has almost nothing to do with the message at all. Picture the moment just before you check it. There's a flicker of tension behind your sternum. Not pain. Not quite anxiety either. Something smaller and faster. A kind of hum. Researchers have a name for this. They call it an information gap, and the man who first measured it scientifically was the behavioral economist George Loewenstein. Loewenstein's idea, published in the 1990s, was simple, but it rewired how psychologists think about curiosity. He argued that curiosity isn't really about wanting to learn something new. It's about closing a gap between what you know and what you almost know. That gap feels like an itch, and your phone, more than any object humans have ever built, manufactures itches on purpose, every few minutes, all day long. Here's the part that should unsettle you a little. You did not evolve to feel this itch about notifications. You evolved to feel it about something much older, something that, for most of human history, could decide whether you ate dinner or starved. Think about your ancestors on the savannah, 100,000 years ago. They hear a rustle in the grass. They don't know what made it. Could be wind. Could be a gazelle worth chasing. Could be a leopard worth running from. That uncertainty is unbearable. Biologically unbearable because not resolving it could get you killed. So the brain developed a reward system that pays out a small hit of dopamine the moment uncertainty resolves. Not when you get something good. When you find out. This is the detail almost everyone gets wrong about dopamine. It was popular for years to call it the pleasure chemical, but the neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz, working with primates in the 1990s, found something different. Dopamine neurons fire most intensely not when an animal receives a reward, but when it doesn't know if a reward is coming. The anticipation is the spike. The actual outcome, good or bad, barely registers compared to the not knowing. Does that sound familiar? It's the exact mechanism sitting inside your phone. You don't know if that red notification dot is a meaningless app update or a message from someone you've been waiting to hear from. You don't know if your post got 2 likes or 200. The phone has, completely by accident or completely on purpose depending on who you ask, recreated the rustle in the grass thousands of times a day in your hand. There's a name for the specific design choice that weaponized this. It's called variable ratio reinforcement, and it was first documented by the psychologist B.F. Skinner in the 1950s, decades before anyone had a smartphone. Skinner ran experiments with pigeons and levers. One group of pigeons got a food pellet every single time they pressed the lever. Predictable. Reliable. Those pigeons pressed it when they were hungry and stopped when they were full. A second group got a pellet only sometimes on no fixed schedule. Random. Unpredictable. Those pigeons pressed the lever obsessively. They pressed it long after they were full. They pressed it even when the food stopped coming entirely, far longer than the first group ever did. You are the second pigeon. Every time you pull down on your screen to refresh it, you're pulling a lever that pays out unpredictably. Sometimes nothing. Sometimes something that makes your chest light up. You cannot predict which, and that unpredictability is not a flaw in the design. It is the entire design. But here's where it gets stranger, because the itch isn't just about randomness, it's about other people. Humans are, by a wide margin, the most socially dependent primate that has ever existed. For nearly all of human history, your survival was tied directly to your standing within a small group, usually under 150 people, a number the anthropologist Robin Dunbar studied so closely it now carries his name. Dunbar's research suggests this is roughly the cognitive ceiling for how many relationships a human brain can meaningfully track at once. In that ancestral group, knowing your social status wasn't vanity. It was survival information. If the group was annoyed with you, that could mean exclusion. Exclusion could mean death. So your brain built an extremely sensitive instrument for detecting tiny shifts in social standing, things like a glance, a tone, a slight change in how someone says your name. Your phone now delivers thousands of these signals daily, except they're flattened into numbers, a like, a view count, a read receipt with no reply after it. Your ancient social monitoring system can't tell the difference between a friend's subtle disapproval around a fire 50,000 years ago and a notification that someone left your message unread. It treats both as urgent. It treats both as something that might affect whether you belong. This is why checking your phone rarely feels optional. It feels like checking on your own safety. So what happens to a brain that gets this kind of stimulation constantly instead of in the occasional bursts nature intended? The psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi spent decades studying what he called flow. The state where someone is so absorbed in a task that hours pass without notice. Flow requires sustained, uninterrupted attention. Csikszentmihalyi's research found that interruption doesn't just pause flow, it can take several minutes to rebuild the focus that a single interruption breaks. Your phone interrupts you, on average, dozens of times a day. Some studies put it closer to 100. That means most modern humans are spending much of their waking life in a state their own brain considers unfinished, always halfway back into focus, never quite arriving. There's a question we're sitting with here. If your ancestors had been given a device that pulled their attention away from their surroundings every 6 minutes, would they have survived the savannah at all? Probably not. The rustle in the grass needed their full attention immediately, completely. Half attention got eaten. You are not weak for finding your phone hard to put down. You are running ancient software on hardware it was never designed to expect. The hum in your chest when you haven't checked it in a while isn't a character flaw. It's the same circuitry that once helped a primate survive a predator, now firing for a notification dot? That means almost nothing. Knowing this doesn't make the pull disappear. The dopamine system doesn't care that you understand it intellectually, but there is something that changes once you see it clearly. The itch stops feeling like a mystery and starts feeling like a mechanism. And mechanisms, unlike mysteries, can be worked with. Maybe the next time your hand drifts toward your phone for no clear reason, you'll notice the hum first. You'll recognize it for what it actually is. Not curiosity about the world, not even truly about the person who might be texting you. Just the oldest alarm system you own, going off in a world that stopped needing it, still convinced that somewhere in the grass, something is moving.